Okay. So, hey, I, gosh, I don't even know where to start. My heart is beating so fast. This just happened. So I was driving home from work right now, and it's only a few minutes away, like maybe 10, 15 minutes, somewhere between 10 and 15. Irrelevant. Anyways, all of a sudden, just so many thoughts started coming into my mind. And so, yeah, here we go. So the first thing that came into my mind is like the C word that nobody's talking about. And that was the first download that I got. And after that, it was just like C words piling in. And so let me start. Let me just start with what I got first. Well, this describes exactly how I'm feeling right now. This, your heart's pounding. Maybe your skin is tingling. Maybe you feel vibrations going through your body. Maybe you're just sitting around and feeling the things that are happening around you in your environment. Maybe feeling the energy of your family. Maybe feeling the energy of your coworkers. If you're at home, like watching the news, the television, or working somewhere where like I work in an emergency room where people are constantly coming in and afraid. Maybe what you're feeling is some chaos and chaos all around. And I was thinking about this chaos, and it was feeling inside my chest a little bit chaotic, and inside my whole body. It happened to me several times throughout the day. I just like kept finding that I have to, maybe go outside, bounce around a little bit, do some exercising. It was kind of cool because I work next to a bar, and I could hear the music coming from the bar, and it was ain't nobody loves you better than that, or something like that. Anyways, it was very, very low, but I could hear it, and I could hear the tune in my head, and it's just like I just started dancing. And I'm just out in the parking lot behind the ER, and I'm dancing, trying to like use this energy that I have running through my body. And that's really all it is when you were noticing all this anxiety going on around us and all this chaos that we might be noticing happening around us. We don't necessarily have to think of it as a bad thing. Let's just think of it as energy. When you think of the word chaos and you're visualizing it in your mind, I mean, at least when I do, I think of things like a Tasmanian devil zooming around the room like this. And kind of, yeah, maybe he does like some destruction or whatever, but it's more of the energy that he has, this zooming whirlwind of energy. Or the other thing I think about is oh gosh, I don't even remember, just like maybe like balls in a room with a fan, and that fan is blowing like those, those little balls that are in those jumping things. So they're kind of light, and maybe you have like a big powerful fan running in the room, and so those balls are just kind of going everywhere, bouncing around the room. Like, it looks chaotic, right? But really all chaos is just energy. And so if we think of it in terms of energy, we don't necessarily have to label it as bad or good. And just because you might be feeling some things going on in your body that you are not used to feeling or comfortable feeling, it doesn't always mean that it's bad either. And let me just reframe that. I don't mean this for any kind of severe symptoms that you might be having. Of course, you need to, always trust your body, and know what's going on, and know when you need to seek medical attention. But I'm just talking about, like, the regular energy, the anxious energy that you have. Anxiety is not always a bad thing. I mean, sometimes it's just excitement, and excitement for something fun coming up, or maybe you have a trip coming and you're just like you're getting anxious because you have like a really fun vacation coming up. So sometimes anxiety could be good things too. But what we do with that energy, that chaotic energy, is what was kind of coming to me is like, where do we want that energy to go? And instead of fearing it, again, unless you're really concerned about your physical well-being, instead of fearing this energy that's coming into your body or into your mind, because sometimes the things that are happening in the world are not comfortable for many of us right now, and that's extremely understandable. And it doesn't always mean that we have to jump into the fear, though. What it's asking us to do is just like to be aware of it. And so if we can just place our awareness in that chaos just for a moment, just like without judgment, not without labeling it bad or labeling it good, and just see what it is, like what it's trying to tell you. Because really all it is, which brings me to the next C word, is communication. It's just communication from the universe trying to tell you something about the energy that's going on, and one thing that I've really been learning about my body over the last couple of years is that this body that we live in is really a tool for communication. Like, I constantly will tell people, this is my biofeedback tool, because this is what it is. It communicates. It gives us feedback about our environment, about our thoughts, about how we're feeling. And a lot of times these thoughts and feelings, we start to feel them in our body. We get tension. Sometimes we get pains. A lot of us get stomach pains, or nausea, upset, chest pains, shoulders. Some of us are like, ugh, with our shoulders up to our ears. It can manifest in all different kinds of ways. But really what it's doing is it's communicating to you, usually something that is, going on with you, something that maybe that's troubling you, bothering you. And sometimes it's not even yours. When we're talking about the state of affairs all across the world right now, a lot of people are feeling this way. And maybe you thought you had this all under control, but you start feeling certain ways just kind of out of nowhere. And I've experienced this lately, and I've had a couple of friends tell me, like, it sounded like you were in a really great place, and then all of a sudden you just out of nowhere started feeling that way. Like, is this even belonging to you? Is this yours at all? And I, even though I'm in this class, which I'm not going to talk about right now, but and it kind of guides you through those questions. It's not something that we think about regularly, because we just seem to think that we own everything that's happening within us. But sometimes you're just picking up on other people's chaotic energy, or just their energy in general, which may not even be chaotic. So what this is asking us to do is to be aware that it's communicating with us. This is the only way that, the field, or the universe, or some of you may call it God, or universal energy, great spirit. But I mean, just the whole universe in general has to find some way to inform us of things we need to be aware of. And that's really what it's asking you to do, is to be aware. Just be aware and saying, hey, I don't know how else to get your attention. You live in this body, so let me give you some signals for you to be aware right now. And so you say, oh, okay, let me be aware, you know. And again, this is not judgmental. It's just like, let me receive this communication from the universe and see what it's trying to tell me. So, you know, then it brings me to the next thing is, you know, if we can be aware of what's going on inside of us, not necessarily judging it, we can start to be aware of the ways that maybe we are letting it control us. So that brings me down to the next C word, is control. You know, and are we letting these thoughts and emotions and this energy that's going on around us control what's going on inside of us? And you know, I wrote down here like outside versus the inside versus the outside, because I think we all kind of roller coaster like that through different levels of control. Like right now, you know, thoughts are controlling, or am I controlling my thoughts? Is my environment controlling me, or am I controlling my environment? Is, you know, the fight you had with your partner this morning controlling you, or, you know, some sort of external event? Or are you in control of the thoughts that you want to think right now? You know, so once we have, you know, understand that the chaos is just energy, and we realize that it's only trying to communicate with us, you know, where do we want to put that control? Or are we just going to let that energy, you know, continue to control us? Because we can make that decision here. And, you know, so this brings me down to the next C word that I have, and that's collaborate. And this is where you want to maybe, you know, and maybe not all of you believe this way, and that's perfectly okay. However, I mean, I believe we came from somewhere. I mean, I came from somewhere. I mean, I know I came from my mom's tummy. You know, but she came from somewhere, and her mom came from somewhere, and her mom came from somewhere. I mean, so somewhere we came from somewhere. And, you know, so there, to me, you know, there is a guiding force, a higher spirit, you know, a divine force that has created us. And, you know, whether you want to think that is just your higher self, or, and I don't mean just, you know, honors to my higher self, you know, God, whatever you want to say, you know, let's work on collaborating with it. So that, I don't know if I said that, but that's the next C word. We want to collaborate, you know, and this isn't even as hard as you might think. You know, it could really just be as easy as you collaborating, you know, with yourself. You know, go look in the mirror and be like, Trieste, what are you thinking right now? And wait for an answer. And then be like, what do you think we should do about this? And wait for an answer, you know? Or you can be like, dear higher self, I feel like, you know, this emotion is controlling me right now. What can I do to manage this feeling? Or what do I need to do right at this very moment to, you know, use this as an opportunity, you know, for you know, my best interest in the highest good of all. You know, what are you trying to tell me? What are you communicating to me? Because we already decided that this is communication. Now we need to figure out, what is that communication? Like, what is it trying to tell you? So we want to collaborate, and maybe talk to whatever we might consider a guiding force, angels, God, universe, higher self. And like I said, yourself, if you want, and, once we kind of get there, and this might not be easy for some of you, but I mean, granted, it's easier or likely easier for somebody who spends some time, with themselves, and, they're good listeners with themselves, and even maybe people that practice meditation. But I feel like anybody can do this, even if they've never meditated before. We always kind of know something about what's going on. We just usually are not so focused on being aware of it, or choosing not to acknowledge, because maybe it's something we don't want to acknowledge, and that's okay too. I think, to an extent, at some point you're going to have to acknowledge everything that you don't want to acknowledge, and everything in its, everything in its own time, and, when you feel safe and ready. I think that's completely fair. But I think, if you are, to this point with me, and you're still with me, and you're collaborating, and you're getting, these messages, to maybe, like, what is this energy that's going through me? How can I use this as an opportunity for me? You can then decide, like, what do you want to create? So this is my next C word, and it's create. What do you desire? If you have this energy running through you, and maybe it doesn't feel comfortable or great, or, it's a little bit chaotic, and of course maybe you want to reel it in a little bit. Excuse me. Maybe you want to reel it in a little bit. Let's start by saying, what do I want to be happening around me? What would I like to see in my environment? What would, I like my relationship with my partner to be? What, just whatever. I don't even know. Whatever questions you have. There's probably so many questions, but now you can, you've gone through the process, you gathered up that energy, you're saying, hey, this energy is communicating with me, decide where the control is going to be. Is it going to control you, or are you going to control it? Hopefully you say, I'm going to control it, because obviously that's going to be the most productive thing for you to do. And then once you decide, I'm going to control this, collaborate and be like, how can I control this? And then decide what you want to create. What do you desire? Everyone's going to have different things going on, and this is where you can just obviously get creative. That's the word, create. Get creative. Write out, what do you desire? What do you want, your home to feel like? What do you want your workplace to feel like? What do you want your relationship to be and feel like? What does it look like? Just where you can, write it out. You can visualize if you're, a visual person, and I think everybody's a visual person. You might not think so, but I mean, all you have to do is, imagine something happening. And if you're having this chaotic energy, chances are you're already imagining something happening. It just might be a little bit more fearful than productive, And so we can create, from our desires, and that's all I think about, like this fearful energy, is it's really just misguided love. And, there's that saying that there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And I really do believe in that, because, fear is kind of scary. I don't want fear, I don't want to live my life from a place of fear. I don't want fear to control my life. I don't want to create from fear, and I don't want to create fear. And so, really, to me, it is really just misguided love. And if I can grasp that, then I can be like, okay, well, how can I now create from love instead of creating from fear? And instead of imagining anything that you don't want to happen, let's imagine what we do want to happen, if we're already imagining anyways, and start to create the life that we want to see happening, whether we're experiencing it around us or not, because there's no good sitting here in anxiety and feeling crippled and feeling like there's nothing we can do about it. And the fact might be that there is nothing you can do about it. So why not just create something that we would love to see happen, at least make it a little bit of a fun thing, like an adventure, like an escape, like you used to do with kids, and play pretend and use your imagination, or sit in school and you're like, oh, I'd rather not be sitting here in school listening to this boring teacher doing whatever this assignment is. You're looking out the window, and instead you're imagining all the beautiful, wonderful things you'd rather be doing, despite what's happening in your environment, right? So daydreaming is such a wonderful tool, and I feel like everybody has the ability to daydream. We all have desires, whatever it is, and don't think that anything is too big. If you're, one of my daydreams is I'm like constantly thinking, about being in a hot air balloon and just kind of floating around in the sky, looking at the scenery and the mountains, looking, at the sky itself, the sun. Maybe if it's early morning, before the sun's up, still the stars and the sunset. Wondering what all the people down on the ground are doing. It's a really nice daydream to have, but nothing is too big. So yeah, so the next C word I know I talked about that one for a long time, is conduct. And yeah, we already created, this is what we desire, blah blah blah. Now let's hone that in a little bit, because maybe we were kind of daydreaming and we're just throwing all the things out there, and fantastic, now we have so many things out there. This is kind of like when you're in school and you're brainstorming and you're just putting everything out on paper, you're just writing it wherever it goes, or wherever it lands, I should say. And now we might want to just organize it a little bit better, kind of like writing a paper. Now we're past the brainstorming, let's do an outline. So this is where you get to conduct and be the director, and you're not going to decide everything right now. You're just going to organize it a little bit, because maybe you had so many different ideas, and some of them might have to do with your career, some might have to do with finances, some might have to do with friendships or relationships, some might have to do with your love life, your home. I don't know if I said that one or not. Just different categories. So now you got all these things out on paper, you want to put them into different categories and just kind of conduct it a little bit. Be the director. Get out your conductor stick. I don't even know what it's called. And just be like, drums, flutes, and trombones. What do trombones do? This thing, and just kind of lead the orchestra a little bit, guide them, right? You're not telling them exactly what to play. I mean, you are just setting a pace and rhythm And, forgive me, I don't know a lot of musical terms, but that's okay. But, you're just standing up there and you're doing that, and you're, kind of pointing to them, and then you're like, and now you guys, and now you guys. But you're not telling them every single note to play. You're not standing up there shouting, A, C, B flat, and doing all of those things, because they know their parts, right? Or it's just like, being in construction, you're overseeing a project, or you're the, what is it called, a foreman. You're not telling, everybody how to do their job. You're not telling the electrician, now I need you to go up in the roof and roll this wire out. And you're not telling, that guy to hammer in the nail. You're just kind of giving them the end. This is what I need done. Go do your job. You know what you're doing, right? And so this is all we're doing with conduct, is we're just saying, what do we want done, right? That's all. We don't have to figure it out. We don't need to know how it's going to happen. We don't need to know the details. We don't need to even think about if it's possible, because everything's possible. There's nothing that's impossible. We are just putting this out there, and, to those of you that do have, God, universe, higher spirit, you're giving this to that higher power, and those of you that don't, just say you're putting it out there, just putting it out there, out into the field, and you're just letting that go. Don't even think about how it's going to get done, because you'll never be able to figure out all the details to all the things that you want. And even if you did, it's not going to happen that way. Chances are it's going to come a totally different way and maybe show up in a different way, and maybe come at a different time than you thought it would come. And, maybe it'll be with somebody you didn't think it was going to be with. But that's what I'm saying. You don't want to guide it too much, because you might be cutting yourself off from, really actually achieving what it is you want to achieve. If I give all of the guidelines to, like, okay, I mean, this isn't mine, but say, oh, I want to have a baby. And I want to have a baby on January 18th, 2022 at 5:15 p.m. It's going to be a she. She's going to have green eyes and brown hair. She's going to have a little mole just like me. Oh, it's on this side. Right there. She's going to have an outie belly button. Like, that's just like way too much, right? You just say, I want to have a baby. And you put that out into the universe, and then you just trust that, that baby's going to come to you when the time is right, and so that gives me to my next C word. It's a double C word, which is confident conviction. And this is where you are exercising that you have created something, that you desire so much, and you used all your senses. I kind of passed that part. But yeah, when you're creating, you want to use all your senses. You want to feel it. You want to smell it. You want to see it. You want to taste it. You want to hear it, And, the most important part of that is you want to feel it, and you want to feel like you're there. And that's why we use those senses, because we want to feel that we're already in that place, that we're already having that experience, that we're, laying in bed all snuggly, cuddly with, our partner, watching Netflix all night, and what that feels like, and what their hair smells like, what, how soft are their lips? Do they need chapstick? Whatever. You want to feel that thing. And then, let's go back. So to confident conviction, this is where you just have faith that, everything that you've created and you've conducted it, that it's going to happen. You know, I do listen to a lot of law of attraction speakers, you know, and really that's, you know, one of the consistent things is that, you know, you just have to know that if this is something that you want, this is something that you desire, that you would never desire something that's not possible for you to have, regardless of whether or not you think it's possible, regardless of whether or not you know how it can be created or how it is possible. You just have to know that if you have that desire, it is possible. And trust me, you don't have to believe me on this right now. And maybe you don't even have to know right now. But it's not going to hurt you to put it out there, you know, and have that confident conviction that it's mine, like it's done. Have faith in that, you know, have, gosh, I don't know. I should have thought of a bunch of synonyms for faith, but, you know, you just be like, so it is, so be it, it is done, and have faith that it is done, you know, and maybe it'll show up exactly the way you think it will. Maybe it'll show up on your timeline. But chances are it's going to unfold for you in a very magical, unexpected kind of way, you know. And I think once you get to that faith part, this is that C word that nobody is talking about. And that's calm. And this is kind of the process that I went through to kind of get here, because right now nobody is talking about calm. Nobody is saying the word calm. A lot of people are saying these crazy times. You know, that's one C word. You know, crazy doesn't have to be bad either. Maybe crazy is like, you know, like that wild ride you went on, or, you know, whatever amusement park. Maybe crazy is like how much fun you and your friends had, you know, when you were in high school and you didn't have any cares. I mean, crazy can be a good thing. So these crazy times can be a good thing for you too, even if it doesn't feel that way. And even if you're going, you know, through some struggles, as I know that many of you are right now, you know, but I really just wanted to make this video to get you, you know, to that place of calm, because I think once you kind of go through that process and you get to that point where you have that confident conviction of you know, what you want to believe in. And this is something I say a lot, and I didn't make it up, because I mean, I hear lots of people say it a lot, but you got to believe to receive. You got to believe it to receive it. Okay? If you can't believe it is possible for you, it's not possible for you. But you have to believe that it's possible, and you can receive it either as good as you imagined it or better than you ever could have imagined it. You know? And so you don't want to direct too much, because what if you only get what you ask for, and maybe your source, your higher power, had something even better planned for you, but it's like, oh, well, you wanted it this way, so this is all, here you go, this is what I'm giving you. And you never know, but you know, you could have had, you know, that little McDonald's cheeseburger, or, you know, you asked for that McDonald's cheeseburger when you could have had like this gourmet veggie, because I only eat, you know, the vegetables, some gigantic gourmet fancy veggie something, whatever, I don't know, you get the point. Like it just could have been so much better. I don't like that I just used that McDonald's analogy. That's so weird. Anyways, yeah, I don't eat at McDonald's. No judgment. You know, but really what we're trying to say here is you want to get to that place of calm, you know, and if you can have that confident conviction that those desires that you want, from all of that energy that we started with, all of that energy from the beginning, all we did was we scooped up all of those balls that were bouncing around the room, right? And all we did was, like, through this process, well, I see a funnel, but really, all we have to do is go, like, unplug the fan. And once the fan stops blowing, all those balls are just kind of going to settle down, and everything's going to be calm. And what happens when those balls settle down? They're going to look really organized. Now, the amount of balls don't change, but the structure changes, and so the energy is all still there. It's just a different kind of energy now, right? And just think of how it is, like, going down. They're like, right? And then you start seeing them. And you just start looking at them, and now you can see, oh, there's a red one. Oh, look, there's a green one. Oh, look, I see 3 green ones. Look, there's some blue ones. Yeah. And you start to notice things a little bit differently, and now your awareness is a little bit more, what's the word I want to say, like, acute, honed in. At first you were aware of all the chaotic energy. Now you're aware of, individual things, like different colors of the balls, the size of the balls, the shapes of the balls. Well, probably round. The speed that they're going at. Maybe it was just so fast before you couldn't even tell. Maybe you notice that, there's different sizes. And you're just kind of watching them, and you're just, like, noticing, and you're, thinking, like, wouldn't it be so cool if they all lined up like a rainbow, like the red ones and the orange ones and the yellow ones and the green ones, and, the rainbow, actually, here, like the rainbow, like that, and then how magical would it be if all of a sudden, because you were thinking it, the balls just fell that way. And now all the balls are just laid out in front of you like a rainbow, and just totally calm and totally organized and totally beautiful. And you could just see, that life is just so magical, that we don't have anything to fear, that really, there is just a pot of gold waiting for us if we can learn to manage that chaotic energy, that we're so afraid of, and learn to love that energy coming at us, because it's power, it's something that we can use, it's a untapped source. It is endless. It's, don't want to overuse the word abundant, but it's never ending. Like I said, those balls didn't change. They just restructured, and now we have a rainbow. So I don't know. I think that's the whole point. We're just trying to get to calm. So that's my C word of the day, the big one. The big C, the, I don't know, coolest, another C word I know, other than cool. Yeah. So I don't know if that helps anybody. I know this is a super long video. I really wasn't anticipating that, but if you made it to the end and watched it this long, congratulations, another C word. I hope it helps, and I hope you're all having a beautiful, peaceful, calm Saturday night, or whatever day it happens to be when you watch this. It's Saturday night when I'm making this, and that's all. And hey, I just want to remind you guys, that to use your loving energy to create the life that you want, and to just be love out there. Okay, remember that you can create anything with love. You don't have to create it with fear. We have choices, we have options. Oh dang, I should have used that in there. Choices, that's such an important one. It'll have to be for another video. We'll talk about choices. Okay, but really this was about choices. This is about you choosing to turn chaotic energy into calm energy. So there we go, roundabout kind of way getting there, but that's all. I love you guys. Have a peaceful night. Okay, be love. Mwah.